Hey guys, welcome back. My name's Matt, and you're watching Matthew's Ballistics. If you recall, in like 2 episodes ago, episode 17, I did a step-by-step video on 38 Special, how to reload it basically, and basic load data for it. Didn't really get into anything crazy like doing my own ammunition and loading my loads for it. But I'm gonna do something a little different today. I haven't done in a little while. We're gonna review a gun. I bought this firearm for my wife, and we're gonna review it up against mine. And we're gonna test 38 Special, and we're gonna test 357 Magnum. So the gun I bought my wife, it's brand new. We have not fired it yet. It's a Taurus 605 357, little 5-shot revolver, and it's very, very well made. I mean, I tend to be a little bit of a Taurus fan. It's not a lot of people aren't, but they think that they're kind of, I don't know, the fit and finish on may not be perfect like they like owning a Ruger or a Smith, but in my opinion, Taurus has really stepped up their game in the past few years in gun manufacturing. You can tell, like, from the time that I bought my Raging Judge Magnum until I bought the 627 and then I bought this 605, they're like increasingly just a little bit better. I think the finish is just a little better on each one that I've bought. So this is a single or double action. We can do a double action pull. I'm not much of a double action shooter when it comes to revolvers. I typically like to use the single action way to go, but we can pull and pull and pull, and then it has that really nice just let off right there, right before the hammer drops, which makes it actually really nice. I kind of like that a lot. Let's do that again. And then that clean break. There it goes. Wow, that's actually really nice. I didn't notice that before. And then we do a single action pull on it. A lot of people use their thumb on their right hand. When I do single action, I use my left thumb. That's just my way of doing it. Whoa, that trigger has no creep and it's super crisp. I don't have a trigger scale, but I would love to know what that is. That is, wow. That's a really nice trigger. And then, so I've loaded, if you can remember in the previous video in episode 17, we did 158 grain Hornady XTP bullets, over 5.9 grains of HS6, which I believe that's not a maximum load. That is a just an in the middle load. It's not weak, but it's not stout. It's a good way, or a good mid-range load. I'm curious to see velocities, and we're going to test the difference between the velocity of the 2-inch Taurus 605 versus the 4-inch Taurus 627. Now, one of the main differences is this is a tracker model. They come with a little bit better. They got the high-vis front sight. They're ported. Then they've got a fully adjustable rear sight. You've got windage and elevation adjustment. And one of the advantages to this is it holds 7 shots. That's a lot of 357 if you think about it. But weight differences. This gun I think weighs 27 ounces, and the 605 is around 21 ounces. And as far as feel goes, this has a full grip on it. So when you wrap your hand on it, you've got it. You've got the bottom of the grip there. You get all 3 fingers on it. It's really comfortable. It's my favorite as far as just holding it. That's my favorite handgun that I own. honestly. I don't really shoot it all that much. I probably should shoot it more. I wonder if it has the same. I haven't really ever shot it double action, but I wonder if it has that same let off before the break on the double action pull. Let's see. Unloaded, by the way. I would never do this with a loaded gun. It doesn't really have that same let off. It does kind of, but then it like immediately falls. It's like right when it lets off, it just falls. So it doesn't have that same, like, it doesn't let you know that, hey, you're ready now. You've got it pulled back, and it's almost the same break as using it in single action. This one, single action, has about the same trigger feel. I would bet that this one's just slightly heavier. I don't know how much heavier, but just slightly heavier. So we're going to test out the 158 grain Hornady XTPs that I loaded in my own hand loads, and then we're going to test out some 158 grain Underwood. I haven't loaded any 357 yet for this. I don't think. Not any full power 357, not my loads, but this would be a close second as far as if you're just looking for recoil. Underwood loads their ammunition pretty hot the way I like it, and it's always really nicely made ammunition. And I'm not sure exactly what bullets they're using for this, but I like the way it's designed. So it's 158 grain hollow point as well. And I'll be testing velocities through the 4-inch barrel and velocities through the 2-inch barrel. Now, it is important to note that the 4-inch tracker weighs more and is ported. So the recoil, or the felt recoil in it, is going to be considerably less than the 2-inch 605. And I'm curious to see what that feels like. I've actually never shot a 357 that wasn't ported, so it's gonna be interesting. It's lighter and it's not ported, so that all that recoil, that felt recoil, is going right into your hand. There's nothing relieving it. There's no porting, and the barrel's shorter. The gun is lighter. It's going to be an interesting thing. So here in a little while, we're going to head out to the range, and we're going to test it out. Bring the chronograph, and we're going to see how it goes. Okay, so we're back at the range, and we're testing some 357 and some of my 38 loads. Just to get a baseline, I'm going to shoot this Fiocchi 357, 158 grain jacketed flat points, and it says 1220 feet per second, but we're going to test that out and see if it's true or not. And we're testing it out as Taurus with a 4-inch barrel. Well, it may be too dark to read the chronograph. 1039, 1065, no read, 1042. Alright, so not quite 1220 feet per second. A lot of gun manufacturers or ammunition manufacturers like to use barrels that are about 8 inches to test with. This is a 4-inch barrel, so it could potentially be 1220 with an 8-inch barrel. Now we're going to test some 158 grain Hornady XTPs. These are 38 specials that are loaded. They should be pretty mild. I'm gonna guess around in the 850 foot range, somewhere in there. 653, 791, 760, 791, 738. So a little bit more mild than I was expecting, but we're going to get a comparison to a 2-inch 357 revolver. I use the same 38s, the 158 grain XTP hollow points. They're my hand loads, and we're going to shoot them out of this new Taurus 605. With the 2-inch barrel, it ought to be a little bit slower on the velocity. $684, $666. That's not a good one. $695. I've got one round in here where the primer did not get seated very well. That's my bad. This the cylinder on this gun fits really tight, so that round will fire fine out of the 627, but out of this revolver, it's not going to. All right, up right now, I'm going to shoot the 158 grain 357, the jacketed flat points, the Fiochis, and we'll test and see what kind of velocities we get out of the 2-inch Taurus. $921, $921, $923, $924. Got one more. So they're actually really consistent out of the 2-inch barrel, more consistent than they were out of the 4-inch barrel. Now we're going to shoot some full house 357. This is Underwood, 158 grain. These are rated at 1,500 feet per second, so we're going to see what kind of velocities we get out of the 4-inch Taurus and the 2-inch Taurus. And as a bonus round, that one that was just for whatever reason not fitting quite good enough to rotate in the cylinder of the 2-inch Taurus, I'm going to shoot it out of the 4-inch one. $12.93, $13.95, $13.80, $13.77, $13.69, and that last 38 special, $8.62. Alright, now we're going to test the same full house 357 out of this 2-inch Taurus. They're probably going to hurt a little bit. $12.23, yeah, that kicks quite hard. $12.36, $11.82, $11.95, and $11.35. Yeah, that is pretty uncomfortable to shoot. I'm just gonna go ahead and say. So I guess that's it for shooting right now. We're gonna go back to the house and we'll talk about our results. Okay, in this next piece, we're gonna try to do a little slow motion for you. We're gonna shoot two of the 38s out of the 4-inch, and then we're gonna shoot two of the Full House 357, the Underwood 357 out of the 4-inch, and then we're gonna do the same in the 2-inch revolver, and we're gonna compare the difference in the recoil. Hopefully with the slow motion, hopefully it picks it up really well. Alright, so we're back at the house. I hope you guys really enjoyed that little bit of slow mo we put in there. Definitely shows you the difference between some full power 357 and then some mild 38s. Um, as far as accuracy goes, honestly, for target practice and everything, you're gonna always do better with a milder load, almost always, just because of the fact that you're not wincing every time you pull the trigger on it. For me, target loads, 38s is the way to go. Using your full power 357 ammunition for target shooting, I mean, I do believe that it is good to practice with full power ammunition. One, because if you ended up having to use it and you pull the trigger and that first round goes off and it's like, boom, and you're not ready for it, you don't know what to expect because you haven't shot it, that can make the situation more dangerous because then your follow-up shot, you're going to be hesitant, you're going to be nervous because you know now it's like, holy crap, that was a surprise. And that's another thing too, is the surprise of it. When that full power round goes off and you're not really expecting it and you don't know exactly what's going to happen, it can surprise you and can affect definitely affect your follow-up shot, and definitely affect your, even your judgment as far as shooting it goes. So I think you do need to practice with full power rounds, but don't do it so much that you're actually flinching and pulling the trigger, and pulling your shot off, even when you're using lighter loads. I'd say if you're going to the range, we try to shoot at least like 2 weekends a month. I really wish we could shoot every weekend. That would be ideal. But 2 weekends a month, if you're going to go out there, I'd say every other weekend. Minimum amount of practice ammunition for me is about 100 rounds. So I would take 100 rounds of some 38 target loads, just planking ammunition, and then I would take probably 20 to 30 rounds of full power ammo, just so that I know what to expect when I do use the full power ammo. So the little Taurus 38 performed well. I'm really happy with this gun. I'm actually, man, I almost, I need to, I really would like to get myself one. I bought this for my wife, and it is super tight fitting. And I noticed that, I do want to point out that 138 round that I said the primer was sticking out too far on, it actually wasn't. After measuring it and looking at it, the rim of the case was thicker on the bottom. It was thicker than all the others for some reason. It was actually thick enough you could see it with your eye, but when it went to, like, this is empty by the way, but when it went to rotating the cylinder around and cocking the hammer, it was thick enough that it was wedging in between the back of the cylinder and this rim here on the back of the gun, and it wasn't allowing it to rotate. So that was kind of odd. I'm not exactly sure what brand that was. I'm gonna have to take a closer look at it, but it was definitely thicker. The rim was than the rest of the rounds we were shooting. Really, just kind of an oddball. I wasn't expecting that. And that kind of also showed me that this gun, the tolerances in between here and here, that gap where the rim goes, are a lot tighter on this gun than they are on this gun, which is also empty. So, yeah, this gun's a lot looser. I guess between here and here, the shell's got just a little bit more wiggle room. I'm not saying that the cylinder's any looser. They're both pretty much the same. As far as shooting goes and function of the firearm, it's very good. Really pleased with it. It's got a really clean break on it. I don't have any complaints. I will say that if you noticed, the full power 357s in that little dude are pretty rough. I honestly would rather shoot full power 454 out of my Raging Judge than to shoot that. But it's not unmanageable. Like, it's not gonna fly out of your hand or anything, as long as you're expecting it and you're ready for it. But yeah, overall, this Taurus 605, if you're looking for a relatively affordable and good, like, quality defensive weapon, self-defense weapon, for carry or home defense, whatever, this is really perfect for me. Single or double action use. Shoots 38s or 357 Magnum, whichever you prefer, and it is got a really fine action on it. Really, it's nice. And that's about all I got to say about it. It's just a nice piece. I will say that they're not real expensive. I think I ended up paying. I got it off a gun broker. I'm sure that over the past couple months I've probably kept their lights on for them. But I paid, I think, $329 for this, and on other websites that I've seen them for sale on. I've seen them for sale as high as like $450, which I think is a little bit ridiculous. I think the MSRP on this is like $399. So I paid $329 for it. You can probably, if you end up running into one at a local shop somewhere, you might be able to pick it up for around 300, or maybe just slightly under 300. So not a bad price point, especially for the quality. Like, I've handled a few firearms, and I think that one actually made, like, the fit and finish and the action and everything, maybe the best Taurus I've bought. The Raging Judge, really great gun. Love it. Everything's super over heavily built with it. But everything is also slightly looser fitting, and I think they did that on purpose because it was designed to shoot 3 different kinds of ammunition. When you start, you design a weapon to shoot 3 different kinds of ammunition, you don't design it to shoot each kind of ammunition extremely well. It shoots each kind of ammunition okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. It is a 50-yard gun, honestly. For me, whether I'm shooting 45 Colt out of it or 454 Casull, it's a 50-yard gun. I don't think accuracy-wise, even if you put a scope on it, you're going to really group very well out past 50 yards with it. But out to 50 yards, maybe 75. You can probably push it that far. It's that's a very formidable weapon. You've got a lot of power in that thing, and it is chambered for 3-inch Magnum 410 shells. I've got some 410 shells. I try not to shoot them because they're kind of hard to find, and they have been getting fairly expensive to find. And I don't reload shotgun shells. Maybe that's something I should get into. That's a whole other story. And then you've got this Taurus 627 7-shot 357-38, and I love it. It's the most comfortable gun I have to shoot, honestly. Even with full power 357, as you saw in the slow-mo videos, extremely comfortable. One other thing to point out when it comes to ammunition, and this is something that some people talk about, others don't, is that the velocities printed on boxes of ammunition generally are not accurate. Most ammunition people, ammunition companies will kind of upplay their velocities a little bit. They'll, like for instance, the Fiocchi was rated at 1,220 feet per second, and we were getting like 1,030-ish out of a 4-inch revolver. Honestly, going to an 8-inch one, me knowing a little bit about ammunition, loading it, is that I don't think we're going to pick up enough velocity to get it to 1,220. I think it'll probably be in the 1,150 area, somewhere in there, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But most ammunition companies, their test guns have 8-inch barrels, sometimes 8 3/4. I think is a pretty good standard for them to test ammunition with. So that printed number on a box, 99 out of 100 times, is not going to be accurate out of your handgun unless you're shooting like a 10-inch barrel or something. Then you're like, yeah, it works. It's might be pretty close to accurate, as far as that number goes. So we saw that shooting it from the 4-inch and then shooting it from the 2-inch, we had a drop in velocity of around 50 to 70 feet per second, somewhere in there. That's pretty expected. I was actually really surprised that the Underwood ammunition, it shot about 1,400 out of the 4-inch, which it was rated at 1,500. That's pretty close. It's a 4-inch gun. I would expect out of a 6.5-inch gun, it would be 1,500. Or an 8-inch gun would be 1,500. You pick up that extra 100 feet per second, no problem. I was really surprised that out of the 2-inch Taurus that it held up there pretty good. You know, it was a little like about 1330-ish was about the average on it. That's pretty stout coming out of a 2-inch gun, 158 grain hollow point. Man, guarantee you, you're not going to buy any other brand of ammunition and have that kind of result. So when it comes to buying real, if it's printed on the box, I'm going to trust it. Ammunition, Underwood's the way to go. Or make your own, which is what I prefer to do anyways. The only reason why I buy ammunition is mainly for brass components. I don't have a whole lot of 357, so anyway, anytime I ever run across any 357, I just buy it, and I figure I buy it, and if I shoot it, you know, even if it's overpriced, even if it's kind of expensive, if I shoot it, I get free components out of it. It's been used, I've already paid for it. When I reload it, I'm not paying for that piece of brass again. I just cut that part of the cost out of the whole equation because it's already paid for, it's already used, and then now I'm only out primers and powder and bullets. So my next set of round of 357 that I produce with that is considerably cheaper. Just a little bit of tips and I guess knowledge on relative cost of reloading. Never think of buying ammunition if you're into reloading. Never think of buying ammunition as it being overpriced. Think of it as you're paying for something you're going to reuse later, and it will lower the cost in the future of what you're using. So it all averages out, and it all like really, you know, you're getting a good deal on it anyways, even if it is overpriced. So I'm gonna end with that. I just wanted to get back to that. I loaded that ammunition to go and test it, and I'm pretty happy with those 38 rounds. They're a little bit mild for me. I wanted to see closer to about 850 feet per second out of the 4-inch revolver, and out of the 2-inch revolver I wanted to see around 750, 800 would be good. I think 800 out of the 2-inch would be pretty good. It's still a very manageable round at that level. I think we were seeing in the 600s, 670-ish out of that, and a little over 700 with the 4-inch. We need to bump that up just a little bit. The next rounds I'll do, I use 5.9 grains in those. I'll probably go to 6.1, bump it up 0.2 grains and test, and then, you know, that I'm guessing that's probably where it needs to be. All right. I think that's it for now. Please like, share, comment, subscribe if you want to, for more content. All right. Got it on that track. All right. But, we're going to get into this ULR 454 on the next video for sure. Those bullets should be getting here Monday, hopefully. And I will get into like loading them, and I will do a video on loading them and what challenges I'm running into with that, or what I will run into. The things that I know I'm going to run into trying to load them. Specifically bullet seating, because they're so freaking long. Anyways, y'all have a great afternoon, and we'll see you next time in the next video.